This is the ugliest thing Nintendo has ever made. What's up, guys? Today I wanted to talk about the 2DS, the history of it, my experiences with it, and, just take a look back at what was going on around the time it released and the reactions to it and whether I feel that all that was justified. It's August 2013. Nintendo reveals their new console revision for the 3DS, the 2DS. Look at the shape, look at the size, look at the fact it doesn't have a hinge. Look at the fact that they removed the namesake of the console, the 3D. The crowd went confused. Yeah, so at this time, everyone was just really confused at what Nintendo was doing. I don't think a lot of people really thought about it in terms of parents or little kids or people that just wanted to get in for a game or two. There really just was confusion of what is this thing? Why is it so ugly? Why is it shaped like that? Why doesn't it have a hinge? And just why did they get rid of the 3D? People really did think that it devalued the 3D and made it seem like the 3D was just a gimmick, which it was. The 3D is just a gimmick. But that the gimmick is the namesake of the console, so yeah, I can understand. But looking back, I feel like it'd be a little dishonest to say that I don't understand why that they removed the 3D, because there were a lot of users complaining about headaches. There were a lot of parents concerned about their kids' eyes from using the 3D. And honestly, how many of us really did play with the 3D on? I know I barely ever did. I only did when I wanted to feel like, oh man, I need to use the console the way it was intended. But 99% of the time, I was just not using the 3D. And I know most people weren't either. Another thing I wanted to mention that didn't make sense to a lot of people was really just the fact that you could turn the 3D off. And I don't think people thought of it as like, from a parent's perspective of they don't even want it on the system because their kid could turn it on. But you could turn it off, so to the general consumer, it's going to make it seem like, oh, what the heck? What the heck are they doing? If the 2DS wasn't for you and it wasn't for me, then who was it for? It was meant for the very young children of the time, and also appealing to their parents. Because, let's be honest, the parents don't really care how it looks. The kids don't really care how it looks. They just want to play Pokemon and Mario. Also, this thing had a price point of $130 at launch, and that just kept going down and down and down. And it was usually bundled with a game. So, imagine you really want to play one or two games on the 3DS system. You're not going to go buy a $150, $180 console. You're going to go buy the $99 console that usually comes bundled with a game, which is what this thing got down to in 2016. This thing got down to $99 3 years after its launch, and that usually came bundled with the game. It originally retailed for around $130, but I think in 2015 it got a price drop, and then 2016 it got a price drop to $99. So that is a great deal on this, especially when you're considering a lot of people were switching over to mobile at the time for casual games. So getting a 3DS for even $130, you're going to get that a lot cheaper than you're going to get an iPad or an iPhone. So this was just a really good deal for people introducing themselves to, casual games or just one or two games that they really want to play on the 3DS. And it was a great deal for them. Okay, I want to go back and touch on the design, because that was a big factor that a lot of people didn't like, and I can't say I don't blame them, because this thing is hideous. But you have to consider, I feel like with the DS and the 3DS, there were broken hinges. People are breaking hinges, especially little kids, which is who this is for. So in order to stop breaking hinges, we had to remove the hinge, or Nintendo had to remove the hinge, not me. So it's more durable that way, but to be fair, there is nothing really to protect it if it drops. Like, In 3DS XL, you're not going to crack the screen. If you drop it, you might just dent the outside of it, and that's not as big of a deal. On this, if you drop it straight on the screen, there's a lot of concern. I mean, the screen is a little bit sunken in, so it should be okay, but you know, a lot of people aren't thinking like that, and also the top screen isn't very sunken in, it's more so just the bottom screen that's sunken in. So even though I think it's more durable in some ways, in other ways it's less durable. And especially the perception at the time was that it's going to be less durable. Because I don't think people were really thinking about, oh, kids break the hinges. They were just thinking about, oh, well, this isn't for me. Or, oh, they were kind of thinking, if this is supposed to be for me, then like, what's my draw to it? But it wasn't supposed to be for them. It was supposed to be meant for entry level and young children. Okay, so now we're going to talk about my experiences, my history, and just my thoughts on this. I was still pretty young when this came out, but I was not up to date on, you know, what was going on with Nintendo. I was just kind of playing my games, having my fun. I was fine just replaying Pokemon over and over and over again at the time. But I remember the first time I ever saw it, it's probably like 8-9 years old, and I'm in a McDonald's with my mom, and I see kids playing on this thing. I'm like, what the is that? That is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. As a like 9-year-old, I wouldn't have even known that this thing was like a 3DS. Now, mind you, I was a pretty dumb kid, but I would not have known that this was a 3DS if I didn't see the kids playing Pokemon on it. And they were only a few years younger than me, but you get the point, you know. I was just, oh, so maybe it's just like a baby 3DS. And then, you know, I looked up a little bit more about it, and I'm like, no 3D? Oh my god. Despite the fact that I never played with the 3D on, so I was being a hypocrite, but give me grace, I was like 8 to 9 years old. But I did spend pretty much the rest of the generation just hating on this thing for no real reason other than I thought it was ugly. That was really it. I was just like, oh my god, I would never own one of those, they're so ugly. Well, look at you now, baby Puma. Look at you now, you are a proud owner of a 2DS. The legacy of the 2DS. Is there one? Maybe. I think that, you know, maybe Nintendo learned or remembered. I think that Nintendo remembered that in order to sell handhelds, and especially even just sell consoles in general, they have to make the barrier to entry very low. Like, the DS was cheap. Game Boy Advance, pretty cheap. Game Boy and Game Boy Color, cheap compared to the competition. That's where you win console wars, being cheap. And honestly, just giving people the opportunity to play games for, you know, $99 at its lowest, even with the game bundled in at that price. That is, like, honestly ridiculous that we were able to do that in the mid 2010s. And they were going up against their fiercest competition ever. They're going up against something that everybody had, smartphones and tablets. So I think it was really good of them to, you know, keep something just extremely cheap compared to, you know, like 3DS was around $150. I don't remember the 3DS XL price, but it was all very expensive, and just being able to get into like Nintendo gaming for $100 is very good. I think the 2DS sold around 10 million units. So yeah, almost got the Wii U. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Tell me your memories with the 2DS. What do you remember about it? What's your favorite and least favorite thing about it? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching, and have a good day. If you liked this video, leave a like and subscribe. Thank you.